Guys, welcome back. This is part 2 of the 1959 Cadillac fin swap on the ECTO-1. If you haven't watched part 1, go ahead and check that out. Today we're going to be doing some mock-up measurements and getting everything dialed in for the welding. Let's do it. Alright, here's the game plan for this video. We are going to get everything lined up for final cut, and I don't think we're going to tack today, but we're going to do a little bit of welding. So let me explain. So I've got these set in place, so they look roughly right. Problem is, I need to get the exact dimensions down because I don't want one to be higher than the other. I don't want one to be cockeyed. I don't want one to be pointed out, one to be pointed in. I want them to be straight as I can get. It's kind of a problem because the dimensions that I've been given from Evil Mechanic, the guy that he just made a really good video about this stuff while I was filming part 1. He basically just says to line stuff up on the flange. So cut the 62 off high and then lay the 59 down on the flange. The problem is, well, it's hard to tell right now. Put this up. The problem with that on mine is look at how cocked out that is. You can, like, I'm not crazy, right? It's like, it's pointing out. So it needs to come in about an inch. This one, it's kind of like what I was talking about. This one I actually do have a little bit in, and it can probably go a little bit even further in. He gave me the dimension, and I think it's like 70 and a quarter or something like that. This is like 71, something like that. So it's too far wide. I know that. Basically, I'm going to take dimensions of the bottom and the top, and I'm going to do a measurement from the bottom here to the top here, and then the same thing over there. My goal will be to make sure that they're the same, make sure one isn't cockeyed out a little bit, and just try to get them in as much as I can. What I'm going to do here, I'm going to clean the surface up completely. I'll get this last little bit of flange off, get the last little bit of lead out, make sure this is completely smooth surface. I'm going to cut a little bit more relief back here because this isn't really necessary to have, I don't think. Point is, I'm going to use this part that I cut, and in order to salvage that metal, I'm actually going to tack it here. I'll tack it there. I'll do a couple tacks down the line, and then I'll actually do a cut, kind of like all the way up. And here, you're gonna love this. I might do it till about here or something, till where it stops mattering. Once I've got that cut, I'm actually gonna push it over and overlap, and then that new line that I made will be overlapping, and then I'll do another cut, and I'll basically just cut a big pie slice out of that Miller Meteor body line, so I can have this really nice smooth edge right here that I really want to keep as much as possible. That'll cause me a lot less body work in the future. I won't need to do as much welding on this as I needed to. I can basically just use this exact same cut that I had made, but just move everything in. So that's the plan for that. I just don't know where I'll terminate it over here, like where the end of the pie cut will be. Probably like here, honestly, somewhere there. That's gonna need some body work anyways. This area is gonna be all hidden, so actually might be right here. There's gonna be a piece of round pipe, like basically muffler pipe right here, and it'll be hiding this whole pocket. So I think I might just kind of terminate it like right in the middle, something like that. But yeah, that's gonna be really nice. Let's go ahead and clean this up, and then I'll go ahead and start, tacking once I'm ready. Okay, I moved it further down the driveway just so I can get a far away view of how everything looks. This fin, I'm pretty happy with. It's really, I'm trying to give you guys an angle as well so you can see what I'm seeing. And I think that one's dead on. I think that one's looking great. This is before measurements. I haven't done my exact final measurements yet, but this is preliminary measurements. That is looking really good. This one, I'm still toying with a little bit because I think it's cockeyed a little bit. but like just the littlest bit. The problem is I think I'd rather bring the bottom out than the top in anymore. I think it's pretty good. I'll say it's pretty good. But like if we're walking down that, the hardest thing about this, to try to straighten it up, these cars were hand built. Everything up here, the whole back door, this whole section, everything was hand built back here, including the doors. These doors bulge out, you see, compared to the 59 front end. Now granted, that's not the factory front end, but if you guys go back to old videos, it did the same thing with my 1962 front end. It kind of straight, then it bulges out on the doors, and then it really narrows in for the front. And the reason it does that is these spacers. So I don't know the exact reasoning, but for whatever reason, they had decided to widen out the back to give a wide back door. And for some reason, that included widening the rear bumper 2 inches on each side with those spacers, and then that is carried throughout the whole body. So it kind of goes in on that front door. It's a weird design, and you wouldn't ever notice it unless you owned one. But man, it makes it really hard to line everything up. I don't know if I'm gonna get much better than this right here. This one I'm happy with. This one, I don't know. I also realized, so as soon as I got the bumper tightened up all the way, I realized it's really like angled in back compared to the way it was before. And the problem is, the entire bumper, it doesn't really sit exactly as flat as I had imagined it did. And so I'm glad I left it tacked, because I think I'm gonna have to angle the whole thing forward a little bit. I think I'm gonna have to break all these tacks there and there, and just bend the whole thing out a little bit, and then just trim it a little bit, just whatever, you know, probably brings it out this much. So I'll have to cut a little pie slot and then cut that a little bit. Other than that, we're looking pretty good right here. I am exactly 70 3/4 inches, just like a real ECTO-1. I've got it verified from Dan, Evil Mechanic. This is exactly the same as his, and I'm gonna double check on my phone. In fact, I can do that right now to see what they were on ECTO Texas. I was talking with them a couple days ago about the same exact thing. Oh yeah, he didn't have it, I forgot. But there was one thing that they did send me. They were telling me that it was about 2.5 inches away from the trim, or 2 3/4, which it is. I don't have the trim on this one, I have it on this one. So you can see that it's lined up, at least at the midpoint of the fin. Yeah, 2.5 inches, and it's the same on the other one. And 12 inches from the outside of this trim here. Check that out, exactly 12 inches. Not bad for being thrown together by the worst YouTube mechanic. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, hold on a minute. This is, you know, almost 13 inches, 3/4 of an inch off. Huh. Interesting. I guess my question is, do I want this to be further in to match that side? Who do I want it to match? Do I want this to match ECTO Texas or Dan's ECTO-1? Dang it. Honestly, I'd be more willing to bring this in an extra 3/4 of an inch. Because you can see this one, it's kind of bulging out a little bit right there, bulges out there, it's a little bit off center. This one, it's like, in fact, it's a little bit in, like lined up perfectly right there. I don't want to move this one. This one's been a problem the whole time. I think what I'll do for now, since I know I've got most of it lined up, I'll go ahead and push this one out. Basically, I'll do one of these. Whoa! Ignore that. I'll put it back in a second. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna line this up right here with this. Tack it at a couple places right there. And then I'll throw a couple more tacks just to get it lined up. And once everything's lined up, I'm gonna do another cut, like I said, do that pie cut, and then see how much I can bring this flange in. I don't know, we'll find out. Check this out. 70 3/4. That's exactly what I needed. So now I can just trace that line, and that is going to be what we use to weld. Sweet. So quick sidetrack for a second. I wanted to show how good my dimensions and everything are. I went and verified with the old fender skirt that these are the same length, and take a look. If anything, it would need to be a little further back, but we're talking like a 1/16 of an inch, and all of this is going to be replaced, so that's not going to really matter. All that's, like, I'm pretty sure all that's Bondo and aftermarket crap anyways. So the point is, this right here is the original, this is the new one, and it's always been like snap tight in there. But now, just to see that the 1960 or 1959 fits in the exact same place as the 62, I'm like dead on, man. So I'm just doing a little bit of measurement. I got my measurements written down. Where are they? Here's what I got. I got diagonal from, it's 71.5 on both, and that is from this flange right here down to like the middle of this one, and this one down to the middle of that one. And you kind of just need to guess, but obviously this is in the same middle as that one. So 71.5, and across on the bottom is 70 3/8, and across on the top is 70 1/8. Now I'm not really worried about them being the exact same, because I really want them to look straight on the car more than have a right measurement. Like I said, these cars are round and handmade, so I'm not gonna get perfect. I'm just gonna get damn close. Here's how the fin looks after tacking on the little 1962 lip. What you saw me doing was I wanted to get it a little tighter and bring the fin down about 1 millimeter or 2. So I left these welds, but I cut all these, and then I ground out the space a little bit more. I mean, look how tight I got those. Those are good. These, not so much, but I've been able to bridge those, so I'm not that worried. I went ahead also, this is a little piece, hot. That's a little piece that I neglected to include on this the first time. So I tacked it on, and then it fell off, and I did it again. So that is a really good line going all the way down. Now, all I need to do is, actually MIG all that. I don't want to use this for that, just because I want perfect welds. So when my buddy gets back, we'll see if he can help me MIG weld that seam. In the meantime, I think I'm gonna go cut that flange, and so it can actually just sit in place. That'd be pretty cool. So let me show you what I'm working on and how I'm doing it. So right now, I'm trying to get the inner wheel well lined up, and the flange is really not shaped the way it needs to be, at least for my car. I don't know if it got flattened a little in transit or what, but I made this form out of an aluminum piece that I can lay up here. Take a look at that. Makes the exact right shape I need, and then I've been putting this over on my workbench and then trying to get it to match up, and I've got it a lot better. Right now, the only thing I'm dealing with, I need to bring the bumper up. The bumper's too low. It's supposed to be about here, so it needs to come up just a little bit, because the piece that goes underneath here that screws in, that needs to sit also under the rear bumper. So it needs to come up 3/4 of an inch, maybe an inch. I'm afraid to cut anything on this piece because I don't really know the final resting place of the bumper. But I do know that I can just try to bring that flange in a little bit more, because I need this surface to be out. I need this to come in, and I can't really make it in a little bit. I can't bring it in anymore because that flange is already so wide right there. So I need to try to bring this out even more. And up here, we're getting better. I'm gonna have to cut a good amount of this off. What I think I'm gonna do, I got this lined up as well, so now I can just kind of sit in place. I'm gonna marry these right here like this, because that's okay steel. It won't be the worst. And I'm actually just gonna, since I can't get this body line to line up, it kind of curves in too much right there. It's not parallel. What I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna cut kind of like this. This is good steel, that's good steel. I'm just gonna cut right there and marry them right, on that line. Somewhere in between, so they can kind of coexist. That'll let me just kind of give me the freedom to put this exactly where it needs to be. And then once it's tacked here and there, I'll go ahead and cut and then push it in and do it once it's installed on the car. But it's gonna go outer fender first, then inner. That's gonna be my order. Top might come in a little bit more actually, but that's what this is all about. So that's kind of what we're looking at right there. Bumper's not exactly in place. It's gonna come up. But you already knew that. This is gonna be where we connect them together. I need to trim some of that. I really don't mind trimming that because it's just kind of, it's not the right angle anyways. It looks like we're gonna need to add a little bit of steel right in that pocket, but we'll just keep it the same exact profile as this. So it'll come out about 2 inches and then curve in, and then it'll look nice. I think I'll go ahead and just cut right there. The plan is I'll probably just do right there, and it'll go right across, and it'll hit both of them. And then they'll hopefully, maybe I'll just take a little piece of steel. The way Dan did it, his doesn't have this flange. He just took a piece and then bent it and then used it in the middle to make that flange and just welded there and there on both sides. I can just do that for up here. It's not that big of a deal. So cool. That's what we're looking at right now. This board is up here to check the level compared to the door. You can see it's like almost there. I think the only reason it's up on this side is because this side needs to be cut and then brought down, but I haven't worked on that. All I've been working on is this side today. But dude, actually has the shape now. This is the first time I've actually been able to see it with the inner fender on, and it looks awesome. That's really cool. Alright, so that's going to be the end of part 2. We'll continue after Thanksgiving with part 3. Part 3, I'll go ahead and try to work on the other side, and then depending on how it goes, I know that I'm going to need to sawzall the fenders, or the inner wheel wells off of the 59 parts car, so that whole, all the way, including the wheel tub, all needs to come out of the other car. So I'm going to bring that in. I got to try to graft that into place on both sides, and then I need to restore the complete inner fender on both sides because they're kind of dirty. And then before I actually throw anything on, I'll still need to worry about this a little bit, so I guess I'll have to bring some thin steel back home because I don't have any for this. So yeah, this is gonna need to happen. This whole side's gonna need to do what I just did here. I gotta trim this a little bit. I mean, we're nowhere close to done, but it's looking pretty good, right? I mean, not bad for a guy in his driveway. But anyways, well guys,